Well, hi guys, my name is Lydia. Today I'm going to say David and Goliath. Once upon a time, when King Saul was a king of Israelites, he was all the time disobeying God like many times. That's why God is not happy with King Saul. One day, King Saul had a very bad dream. He wanted a very soft and beautiful music. And that time, God spoke to Samuel. And Samuel came to the king's palace and said, "What happened?" And King Saul told what everything happened, that he had a bad dream. So he wanted to listen to a beautiful music and a song. So he told that there's one boy who named David. He's good for playing harp, songs, everything. His name David. So when David came and played the harp very beautifully, he went again, and that time the Philistines were angry of Israelites. That's why even David's father became worried about David's three brothers who are fighting in a war and who are trying to kill a 9 feet tall and 9 inches tall giant. But they can't because they're scared of him and losing their the Israelites are losing their confidence day by day. So one day, even David's father told David to go give a food to David's three brothers. And he went. And when he arrived, he heard Goliath shouting louder, mocking and cursing the Israelites. That's why even Goliath shout like anything. So David went to brothers and said, "Oh, what happened?" And David three brothers told what all happened to all these Israelites soldiers. And David said he will win this giant, then only he can free the kingdom of us. So David three brothers told that, "Is he foolish, or you need to go back home?" But David still didn't give up. He went to seek permission from King Saul. And when King Saul saw him, and that time he heard his words, and he said, "You're a shepherd, not even a soldier. You can't win a giant like this. You're just a little boy. You take care of sheep." But David said that he saved his father's sheep and killed a lion and a bear. If it is attack him, he hit it and kill it. That's why even King Saul dressed David in all the sword and all. But David turned at his side and said, "I could not wear this," and threw away all that thing and take his sling and a staff and 5 pedals. And then David went again and started shouting loud and bravely that, "Hey, you ugly giant," he shouted. "You're taking and winning my kingdom," he said like that. So one time Goliath laughed and got angry and said that, is he the dog or what? He said like that. And that time Goliath was trying to raise up his weapons, and David were first praising to God, get a prayer, and then released his stone, and it flew away to Goliath's forehead and it hit it. And then Goliath fell down, and all the Philistines were scared, rushing and running. That time David became a giant killer, and the Israelites put David on their shoulder and sent to King Saul again. King Saul were very happy, and also now David became the king of Israelites. Thank you.
To everyone, my name is Kritika Thaina. Today I'm going to share Bible tales about David and Goliath. This is the story of David, a young shepherd boy from Israel who defeated Goliath, a giant warrior. Our story happened a long time ago, when King Saul was the king of Israel. God was not happy with him because he disobeyed him many times. One day, God spoke to Samuel, an old prophet, and said, I have chosen David as the future king of Israel. And one day Saul had a bad dream and called for Samuel and said, Samuel, I feel troubled. I'm having bad dreams. I think someone is trying to take away the control over my kingdom. And Samuel said, it's just a dream, Saul. Calm your mind. How can I help you? Relax. So Saul said, I would like a musician who can play for me. Do you know of any musician who can play for me? So Samuel said, I know of a boy who plays the harp beautifully. I saw him nearby the house of Jesse. I will ask him to come immediately. So Saul said, yes, please ask him to come immediately. Samuel had David brought to the palace. As a young boy, he was known to be a good musician. He composed songs and played the harp beautifully. The Philistines was troubling Saul's kingdom for a long time. They was always trying to take the Saul kingdom away. The Philistines was known to have giants among them. Their soldiers were stronger and taller than most men. Their champion was Goliath. He was 10 feet tall and made the Israel soldiers look like a little mice. One day, Goliath went to the divided parts of Israel mountain and shouted out challenge. But no one from Israel responded because they were scared of Goliath. And two of the David's brothers was an army. David's father was too worried. And also in this meantime, David was serving the king. One day, David's father asked to take some food for his brothers. He took the foods and went nearby the battle. When he arrived, he saw that his brothers were scared and terrified. And that time he heard the shouting of Goliath. And he asked his brothers, is there no one to face these men? So David's brothers replied, no one is able to face him because he is too strong and big for us to fight. If we lose, then our kingdom will lose forever. So David said, nonsense. I will defeat him and fight him. So David's brothers said, you are brave but also foolish. The king will not permit you to step on the battlefield. You are not a soldier. You are a shepherd. You may be good with the harp, but you cannot carry a sword. Go back and tell this news to our father. So David said, I'm going, brother, but I promise I will come back. I will get the permission of the king and I will come and slay this monster of a man. So he went and gave the message to his father. And he came to the palace to ask the permission. When king saw him, he said, yes, David, I do not want to listen to your music now. We are in battle against the Philistines. I need to find a way to win this war and save our country from these evil men. So David said, O king, I'm not here to play music. I'm here to ask the permission to fight Goliath. So Saul said, you old little boy, I admire your spirit, but I cannot give you the permission to fight Goliath. My most feared fighters are not able to tackle Goliath more than 40 days now. If I send you, then it means like I'm sending you to death. So David said, your Soldiers may be afraid of him, but I have no fear. The Lord watches over me. He guides me all the time. He gives me strength to kill all my enemies. I have killed so many wolves and lions that attack my sheep. I have not lost any one of the sheep to them. So Saul said, I am true. Your courage is truly inspiring, my boy. I give you one chance to fight Goliath. And the loyalty you show to your kingdom, I will give you one chance for that. So he was so happy and King said, also take my armor with you. It will help you from all his heavy blows. And take my sword. It has never failed me in my battle. So David said, thank you, my majesty, but I don't need any of your sword or armor. It will only make it difficult for fighting that Goliath. Thank you once again, majesty, and I will leave now. So he left. As a young boy, he was not able to serve as a soldier because he was not old enough. But he had the courage of the bravest soldier. So he went nearby the rivers and took some pebbles and put it on the pouch. And he was excellent aim with the sling. He used to carry with him all the time. So he reached the battle with only some stones and sling. So when he entered, he again heard the booming sound of Goliath. Goliath said, you cowards, where are your men? If you do not send your real men now, then I will come over and kill you, all single one of you. So David said, hey you, I will fight you. So Goliath said, ha, you go run away, little boy, before I accidentally stamp on you and kill you. So David said, I'm not going anywhere, you idiot. You have insulted my king and my kingdom for too long. This cannot be happened. So Goliath said, hey you, don't take it so seriously. How dare you insult me? We don't take all your threats seriously, David said. And also he said that I have faith in my Lord always watches over me. He can always forever he can silence your threat. We are not scared of your threats. So Goliath got angry and said, go away, little boy, before I accidentally slammed on you and kill you. So David said, hey, you giant, why do you talk too much? Why do you talk too much? So Goliath got angry and he said, be ready to die now, little boy. And he ran towards David, lifting his sword high up his head, trying to strike little David dead. And when he was near close, that time he took his sling with his stone. He pulled all with his strength. Before that he prayed, and after that he pulled all with his strength and lifted it, and it went in between his eyes, and it made a deep cut, and he fell down, and the mud covered his face. So everyone was watching from Israel, the hills of Israel. All the Israel was watching. And there was a quiet moment when Goliath fell down, and then soldiers came and took Goliath in their soldiers, praising him, our new hero of Israel, who can kill a giant. They praised him all the town, and once he became the hero of Israel, and he will rule the Israel long time. And this here we come to know that with God, with faith, with courage, everything is possible. Thank you. Have a wonderful Sunday.
Everyone, my name is Joel Dangma. I'm going to tell a story of David and Goliath. Once upon a time, there was a king called Saul. He disobeyed God. So God said to Samuel, go find a new king. Go to Bethlehem and you'll find Jesse and his 8th son. When Samuel met Jesse, he thought that the eldest brother Eliab would be the next king. But God said no. So when Samuel said to Jesse, have I met all your sons? Then Jesse said, I have one son who is taking care of the sheep in the field. His name is David. I'll bring him here to meet you. So God said he is the chosen one. So Samuel anointed his head in a special way. Meanwhile, Saul ruled the people of Israelites, and they weren't getting along with the people called Philistine. The problem with Philistine are they had many giants living in their land. One of the biggest and strongest name is Goliath. He's over 9 feet tall. So when he could go under a regular door, he would bend down. Only when Goliath shouted for 40 days and night, he shouted, hey, I dare you to fight me. If I win, you all become our servant. If you win, we all will become your servant. So Samuel and the people in Philistine were scared. Only 3 of David's elder brother could go and fight. When Samuel said about the giant to Jesse, Jesse were afraid and worried about his sons. So Jesse said to David, take this and go meet your brothers. So David met his brother and he heard Goliath shouting, won't you fight with me? So David said to the people, won't you fight this person? David said. So one person overheard it and said it to Saul. And Saul said to David, you can't fight, you're still a kid. But David said, I have God with my side. So Saul said, wear this armor and take this sword. Go and fight with him with this. But David felt heavy, so he took off the armor and sword, and he said, I don't need this. I have God in my side. So David took 5 smooth pebbles and kept it in his pocket, and he got one sling. So Goliath was dressed with armor and he took his sword. So David said, come and fight me. So Goliath thought it was a joke. But David said in a very brave way, come and fight me. I will defeat you. So Goliath got angry and he came towards David. And David came running. He took his stone, kept it in his sling, and shoot in his forehead. Goliath lost balance and died. And that's how David became the king of Israelites. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I'm a Sunday school student, and today I would love to tell a story about David and Goliath. A boy who's a shepherd named David and who defeated Goliath. A kingdom place in Israel. The king's name was King Saul. He disobeyed God many times, but one night he had a bad dream. He called Samuel and said that he had a bad dream. Samuel said that, "Oh, my king, this is just a dream. What can I do for you?" He said, "I would like to hear an instrument." He brought David into the king's palace and did harp beautifully and nicely. But then they were in war with Philistines, with mm, Saul's soldiers were refused to defeat them because they were tall and strong. Their their leader champion was Goliath. Their David's father were very worried for their sons who were defeating them, and their father said for David to go and give them for some food. When David went, he said that, "Brother, what are these voices? Who are doing here?" Their brothers said that these were Goliath. David said that he would go and kill him, but his brothers did not allow. He told him to give the regards for his father, and also David told that he will give the regards and ask king the permission and come. As he went and gave the regards, to give he went to ask the permission, and uh, King Saul agreed, and he went for battle. Before battle started, they were talking, and after that, David pulled a sling with a stone and prayed to God and threw it on Goliath's forehead. He stumped, numb, and fall, buried in the sand. And David ruled the country for many years. Thank you for the story. May God bless you all.
Hi, my name is Natasha. Today I'm going to tell you David and Goliath story. Once upon a time, there was a young boy named called David and a big guy called Goliath. There was a king palace named called, and there was a guy. His name was Saul. Then he disobeyed God many times. Then at night time he had a nightmare. Then he called Samuel, and he said that, "Samuel, I had a nightmare." Then after that he said that Samuel replied that he said that it's just a nightmare. Then after that he said that he needs to hear a musician. Then he called a young boy called David. He called to his palace. Then after that, in bad people, they were trying to attack King Saul's place. Then after that, David David went to his father, and his father was nervous about his brothers, so they're fighting in the palace. Then David came to their place, and David came to his father place, and said that to bring his foods to his brother. But then when he saw that, he heard Goliath's ring. Then after that, his brother said that, "Give our father to our news." Then he went and he said that, "I'll give it, and I'll ask the permission of the king to come back." Then he went and asked to the king. Then the king said that he doesn't need to hear his music for now. Then after that, they started battle. Then he said that he needs to step in the battlefield. Then he stepped in, and he was not nervous at all. And while Goliath was nearby him, he put on slingshot on his slingshot. Then after that, he put a stone on his slingshot. Before he let the stone go away, he prayed to Lord, and he gave a prayer, and he let go the stone. Then after that, the stone went nearby his forehead. Then after that, he fell down into the ground. Then there were few more silence. Then they ran and get David, and they said that, David the giant killer. Then for long year he ruled the world, and he became the king. Thank you so much. We all, God bless you.
This is the story of David, a young shepherd boy from Israel who defeated Goliath, a giant warrior. Our story happened a long, long time ago when Saul was the king of Israel. God was not happy with Saul as he had disobeyed him many times. God spoke to Samuel, an old prophet, and David was chosen as the future king of Israel. King Saul had a bad dream one day. He called for Samuel. "Samuel, I feel troubled. I'm having bad dreams." I feel somebody is trying to take away the control over the kingdom. It is just a dream, Sal. Calm your mind. How can I help you relax? I would like to hear some soothing music. Do you know of any good musician who can play for me? I know of a boy who plays the harp beautifully. I saw him in the house of Jesse in a nearby town. I'm sure he can help calm your mind. I'll send for him immediately. Okay, please ask him to come immediately. And so Samuel had David brought to the palace. Even as a young boy, David was known to be a very good musician. He wrote songs and played the harp very well. The Philistines had been troubling Saul's kingdom for a long time now. They were always trying to take over the kingdom of Saul. The kingdom of Philistines were known to have many giants among them. Their soldiers were taller and stronger than most men. Their champion soldier was Goliath. Goliath was almost 10 feet tall and made the soldiers of Israel look like little mice. One day, Goliath walked up to the hills that divided Israel from Philistines and shouted out challenges. No one from Israel responded, as they were afraid of Goliath. The giant kept challenging Israelites for almost 40 days. Two, two of David's brothers were in the king's army, and they were fighting against Philistines. With this threat of Goliath, the Israelite soldiers were starting to lose confidence day by day. They could not find the courage to face Goliath. One day, his father asked David to carry some food for his brothers. So David went to the battlefield, carrying the food that his father gave him. When he had arrived, it was then that he heard the Goliath's challenge. Shame on you, Israel! How long will you keep me waiting? Isn't there anyone who has the courage to stand before me? You are not men, but sheep. What is happening? Isn't there anyone to face this man's challenge? We cannot risk losing against him. He is too big and strong for us to fight. If we lose, our kingdom will be lost forever. Nonsense. This man is insulting our king and our whole country. This cannot be allowed. I will fight this man and defeat him. Ah, little brother, you are brave but also foolish. The king will not permit you to step into the battlefield. You are not a soldier, you are a shepherd. You may be good with the harp, but you cannot carry a sword. You are just a little boy. Go back to father and give him our news. I am going, dear brother, but I promise I will come back. I will get the permission of the king and come to slay this monster of a man. God is with me. He will help me defeat this giant. He will give me the strength. David went back to his father and gave news of his brothers. Then he went to the palace and asked for permission to speak with the king. Yes, David, you may go back to your father now and tend to his sheep. I do not need to listen to your music right now. We are at battle against the Philistines. I need to find a way to win this war and save our kingdom from these evil men. I will send for you when I need you. Oh, king, I have not come to play music. I wish to serve my country on the battlefield. I shall defeat Goliath, and I have come to get your permission to step onto the battlefield and end this war once and for all. Son, I admire your spirit, but I cannot give you permission. You are just a boy. My most feared fighters have not been able to tackle Goliath for more than 40 days now. If I allow you, then it'll be like I'm sending you to your death. Your soldiers may be afraid of him, but I have no fear. The Lord watches over me all the time. I may be a shepherd boy, but please have faith in me. I have killed many lions and wolves that attacked my sheep. I have not lost even one of them, my sheep to them. My God has given me the strength to fight my enemies, whoever they are. I'm sure He will give me the strength to defeat this giant too. Please give me the chance to save the honor of my country. I promise I will not let you down. Your courage is truly inspiring, my boy. I am moved by your trust in God and the loyalty you show to your country. I am giving you permission to fight Goliath, but you must wear this armor. It will protect you from his heavy blows. Also, take my sword with you. It has never failed me in my battles. Thank you, your majesty, but I do not need your armor or the sword, my king. They are too heavy. It will only make it difficult for me to fight. I will now take my leave. Thank you again for your permission. God be with you, my boy. So, armed with just his sling, David stepped into the battlefield to take on Goliath. As he reached, he could hear the booming voice of Goliath yet again. You coward, where is your man? If you do not send your fighter now, I will come over and kill every single one of you. Hey, you, over here. I will fight you. Run away, little boy, before I accidentally step on you and kill you. I am not going anywhere. I am here to fight you and beat you to the ground. You have been insulting my king and countrymen for too long. We are not afraid of you. We just don't take your threats seriously. You have been making a nuisance to my country. That will end today. I am here to defeat you. Stop. We are not afraid of you. We just do not take your threats seriously. You are now becoming too much of a nuisance for us. This will end today. Today, Philistines will become our slaves. My God protects me from all evil. He will help me to silence your threat forever. You cannot be serious. Have you lost your mind? Have your parents abandoned you? Do not test my mercy. Send a real man to fight me. You dare to insult me? Why do you talk so much, you ugly giant? Are you afraid of me? I am more than enough for you. If you cannot fight me, then surrender to us now. That is it. You be ready to die now, little boy. Goliath ran towards David, lifting his spear high overhead, ready to strike the little David dead. When he was close enough, David placed a stone on his sling and took aim. Then he pulled it back with all his strength and said a prayer to God. He let go of the stone. The stone hit Goliath straight in between his eyes, making a deep cut. He stopped, stunned and not believing what just happened. He then dropped to his knees and fell over, his face buried in the sand. The Israelites were watching them from the hills. There were a moment of silence. Then, when Goliath dropped to the ground, they could not believe what had just happened. Then there was a huge cry of victory from the soldiers. They ran to David and picked him up, and they placed him on their shoulder, singing, chanting, David, David, they chanted. David, the giant killer. Thus, David became the hero of Israel, the slayer of Goliath. He would later on become the king of Israel and rule the country for many years to come, loved and respected by everyone.